Good morning, everybody, and a very warm welcome to this episode of Ask the Accountant, episode number 142. The date is the 21st of June, 2025, and I'm here with my co-host, as always, Mr. Johann Gorey. Johann, how has weekend been, or week? Go for it.
It's been quite chilled, actually. Like busy week with lots of meetings and stuff for Engager, but it's been a chilled weekend, just gradually unpacking and getting your life into order. Every time you think you're about 80% unpacked, IKEA or Amazon or Dunelm, someone delivers another batch of boxes for you to unpack, which is a bit demoralizing, but I think we're actually genuinely almost there now, which is good. How was your weekend?
Well, we need to, before we talk about my weekend, we need to talk about that it's slowly evolving behind you.
It is.
Notice the unicorns are still there, so that was definitely a, that was put up for you, right? Let's be honest. But
no, we've got. They've been quite a good icebreaker on quite a lot of meetings in the last week, if I'm honest.
You should name each one. This should be like in Watch Colour, but a name to each unicorn, and
that requires imagination and creativity, none of which I possess.
What all of us could put forward what names we would want out of it. The Ask the Accountant.
Give each one a little name badge.
Yeah, and then each one of us could be prancing along your wall. But it's looking good though. So I mean, there's less boxes, like you said, so that's a progress, isn't it? On air sign looking nice over there, so it's looking good.
Yeah. Progress is being made.
Love that. And yeah, no, good weekend for me. I went to London yet again. Off to London again on Tuesday, and was there on the Tuesday before. So yeah, loving London life, honest. But went to see the boxing. So went to Wembley. Went to go and watch. Not the result we wanted, but the fight was good nonetheless. And yeah, just had a chilled weekend in London, which was good to see. Although my only frustration for that whole weekend is I don't know if this always happens, but we were put on the super slow train. So instead of an hour and 40 minutes to get to London normally, we were 3 hours plus at one point, just like every single stop.
Is there anywhere you didn't stop? Did you go via Edinburgh?
It was madness. It was trickled speed and all this and the other. So I'm definitely grateful for when I can just jump on my train, sit there, and in an hour and a bit, I'm already in London. Yeah, I can't bring those days back. Right. Okay. We wouldn't be anywhere without our amazing community. And we've got some cracking people in the chat today. Remy's here. Good morning, Remy from TCS. So we've got a whole contingent from TCS here today. Louise Moore there. Steph says, saying good morning, gents, with her 0 heart showing and proud. She will tell us it's not a 0 heart, but we all know the truth. Tim C's here, morning 8:30 on the dot from sunny Guernsey. I think the sun's gone for UK now, from mainland anyway. I think that's over, isn't it?
I assume thunderstorms due today. Got a weather warning and everything.
Yeah, we had torrential downpour yesterday. It was not nice at all. Kirsty's here. Good morning, Kirsty. Hope you are doing well. We're here on time anyway. That must be having a light. Well, 8:30 dot. On the dot for everyone today. I mean, there's that is impressive. That is impressive. Well done all. Rainy Kent says Steph, so it's raining down there. I don't think we've got rain. I assume you've got rain though from your end.
Yeah, but we're due it in the next hour, followed by thunderstorms.
Paul says good morning, Paul. No weather update from you, Paul, though, so do let us know how it's going down in Pompey.
It'll either be bucketing down or glorious sunshine. Portsmouth doesn't do anything in between.
Dave says, good morning, everyone. I hope you all had a great but rainy weekend. It was rainy, wasn't it? When I packed for London, the first thing I packed was my sunglasses and shorts. How wrong was I? Suzanne said, good morning, Suzanne. I hope you are doing well. Still unicorn, says Stephanie Marshall. Yeah, still unicorns there. Tim C says, keep the unicorns. I'm not sure that's going to go down. Yeah, especially when he's got text put up there like soundproof barriers and stuff. So maybe we'll see how it goes. And then Sam there as well. Good morning, Sam. Hope you are doing well. Hope everything's going well. Oh, and Paul Ingram just came in at the end as well. Good morning to you, Paul. Good morning. Good. Right then, team. And from the Instagram side of things, no comments yet. But yeah, we'll keep an eye on that going forward. Right. Let's start with probably the biggest news of the week. OpenAI came out with some new updates, didn't they? That's always good when we get to see them. And I must admit, I like their presentation of it as well. Very, there's multiple ways to skin a cat, isn't there? So Canva, for example, put on this big stage show, and they've got people dancing and all sorts of things going on. It's a whole spectacle, right? Apple, as we know, have these really polished, keynotes to announce things, but at set times and the year and all that sort of stuff. And in our industry, most of the time it's get to a booth or get to a Countex or something like that, or have your own show and show there. But OpenAI, when they release something, it's very, especially their kind of I know they do like a glossy video to go with it, or not even a glossy video, I'd say just an informative video to go with it. But they always have that whole sit down all around that same area where we're all going to sit down and okay, interesting. About an hour long, aren't they normally? They just talk through what they've done and where they've gone. So do you want to talk about what it is they've announced and how they announced it and stuff like that? And
I also like the fact that there's no build up to this. Nobody knows
it just, when to expect almost shadow released, isn't it?
By OpenAI, it's there. And like I said a few episodes ago, I also love the fact that there's no, we're going to do this. This is the vision. They've obviously got a vision and stuff, but you're going to go, we're going to build this amazing feature. It's going to do all these things. They just go, we've built it and it is releasing now. No messing about. It's releasing now. So I do love OpenAI for that, because there's no teasing, there's no dragging it out. So OpenAI last week dropped a bit of a bombshell in the form that they've got now OpenAI or ChatGPT agents. They've not created loads of different agents. We've got kind of one agent that can do all sorts of things.
Interesting approach, right? Compared to what the competitors are doing. Yeah.
Now you can have multiple agents on the go at the same time. But it's powered all by the same thing because it's very generic. Whereas, QuickBooks, we were talking the other week, they've got different agents for different jobs and stuff, like different skill sets. So OpenAI has announced ChatGPT Agent. It's already available in the Pro plan. It's rolling out to the Teams Plus and Plus plan by Thursday this week. So it's a gradual rollout. And then it will be opening up to another couple over the coming weeks as well, but it's not going to be available on the free plan. This is a paid for feature. If you've got the Pro plan, you get 400 uses a month of the agent tool. If you've got any of the other plans, you get 40 uses per month. So what can it do? Well, they did a huge thing on, it can go and research and populate spreadsheets, create a PowerPoint for you. It can go and analyze financial information for you. I think what's really interesting here, though, is the comments of what it can't do, what they won't let it do. So it can go in to booking.com based on your criteria that you've put into a prompt and go and find and book a holiday for you. It can go shopping for you. It can go and book flights for you and trains for you based on the prompts you put in. And as long as you've got like Apple Pay or Google Pay and your card details are all there, and you tell it can book, it doesn't need to pass the information back for review first, it will make those bookings. So it's going to quite happily spend your money. But what's interesting is they won't let it manage your money. So it won't go into Xero, QuickBooks, etc., and log in and do the bank reconciliation. It won't match transactions. They were very clear and open about saying that it is too early in the AI agent journey to be allowing it to do things like that with such sensitive information, which I think kind of brought to my mind that are our tools that are offering AI agents, are they jumping the gun? Are they misrepresenting what they're doing? Like, actually, is it a team of people teaching this agent how to do it behind the scenes and just saying it's AI agents? So yeah, it was for what I class as a thought leader in the space. I appreciate they're a generalist tool. So niche tools could get ahead of them in like areas of finance.
Yeah.
So QuickBook agents could get ahead of ChatGPT, yes, but at some point ChatGPT will probably match and beat them. In theory, it's going to be a big job for QuickBooks, Xero, Sage, etc., to stay ahead on that game. Compared when you look at I know QuickBooks brags about the amount of data points it's got, but it's nothing compared to what OpenAI have got for data points and resources. So yeah, it's very interesting. I've not got access to it yet because we're on a Teams plan at the moment, which I have just cancelled. I'm going to go back to the Pro plan because I'm missing out. But yeah, I'm looking forward to using it and seeing how it can help me in my day-to-day life. Like, I had a play with. I was having a play with like the deep research and connector tool the other day, and asking it to analyze my emails and all my calendar for the last week and tell me where I've lost time, where could I be more efficient, blah blah blah. And it highlighted some points which were quite interesting. Certain people are going to get blocked from booking into my meeting diary, put it that way. Because if ChatGPT says it's a waste of time, then it's a real waste of time. So yeah, it's a very interesting, exciting kind of step in the direction we're interested in. So yeah, I mean, I've got more AI news, but we'll come back to that in a moment.
Yeah.
What are your thoughts on this?
I think, first of all, like just going back to the announcement itself, I think one thing that is clear is their whole how to sell this, or what it is they're selling, right? Because I think the way I've kind of seen it as I've kind of spoke to more and more people and everything else is OpenAI having a play around with it and just kind of getting to grips with it is a relatively easy, from an educational point of view and kind of an awareness point of view, it's relatively easy. We've spoken about it before, right? The idea of generating those action figures and stuff was a real good gateway into, this is what this ChatGPT, this AI agent can do, right? Or this AI facility can do. And I think teaching people well, instead of Googling XYZ, why don't you just try and see if ChatGPT can give you a better result, right? Like that's neat, because you're taking one habit and you're basically replacing it with another. And then it's up to that solution to wow the end user to go, you know what, I'm going to continue using this, or I'm not going to use it again. And that's how you kind of get the adoption, right? But when you start talking about agents, I feel that's a harder sell. I feel like it's more, I do really appreciate the term hiring an agent. I think that's a way to try and understand what this is, right? And I do feel like that there's still, even OpenAI are still struggling to get mainstream of what an agent can do. But based on their recent video and stuff, I quite liked the idea, because it was very deliberate, wasn't it? That they set a task, shut the laptop, and went off and got a coffee, or whatever the storyline was that they were doing, right? I think that's the bit that we've got to understand, or we've got to try and get in that mainstream and try and figure out use cases for, is an agent should be doing this without your input, or at least, you should ask it to do something or schedule it to do something, and it goes ahead and does it, right? Like that's the use case. That's the bit that I'm excited to see where it's going to go. The fact it's now got access to these connectors as well means that things like HubSpot and stuff, and like you said, like your telephone, your calendar and stuff, and emails and all that lot. Why not ask it on a regular basis? Like set it to do a schedule of doing that. That exercise you just said. Do that on a weekly basis. Give you thumbs up, thumbs down if you're going in the right direction. Do you know what I mean? Like that's where it's good too. Wait, it's interesting you said about what it doesn't do. I still feel like that missing bit of OpenAI versus the rest of them is still that document ecosystem, that management system. You know, you can tell it to create a Excel spreadsheet, no problem. Like Excel spreadsheet will disappear after a while, right? Like it'll only store it for X amount of time. You can tell it to update a Google Drive or Google Sheets. And I don't know if they fixed it now, but last time I tried doing that, it was getting confused, and every so often it will like forget that it had that connection, and there was all sorts of like bits that
They've
wasn't
been quite
right.
open about there is no plans to continue working with Google Docs and Google Sheets.
Really.
Their focus is Excel and PowerPoint and Word docs because that is what the majority of the world use.
Yeah.
Like, they have just said, like, what's the point? Like, even people that have got Google Chrome account, Google accounts and stuff, the majority still default back to Microsoft Office.
Yeah.
So we're just going to focus on that because that's what the majority use.
And correct me if I'm wrong, but when they brought the connectors out, Google Drive was definitely there. I can't remember OneDrive, which is
there.
Yeah, that's what I mean. Google Drive's there. I can't remember seeing OneDrive being there.
No, but SharePoint is, which I think you can access OneDrive through. I need to check.
SharePoint, OneDrive is the same thing. Yeah. Okay, so if SharePoint is there, then fine. But last time I checked, I'm pretty sure it wasn't. And without that OneDrive, SharePoint, whatever method you can do, we can't have consistent, in the cloud Excel documents or Word documents or anything else. So it's going to be interesting how they build on that. And I know they've got a great relationship with Microsoft, right? Or maybe it's being strained at the moment, but they do have a working relationship with Microsoft. So it makes more sense for them to put it up with Microsoft, build that kind of ecosystem out and everything else. We speculated before, but you kind of expect at some point them to bring their own to the table, right? Their own, document management, whatever they want to call it, right?
If you've just sat there and done a load of research and decided, you know what, we're not actually going to plug into Google Docs and Apple Doc pages and stuff because nobody uses them, would you not also sit there and go, Christ, if Apple and Google haven't managed to get the adoption on this, why are we even bothering? Like, let's just default to Microsoft and leave it at that.
I suppose it depends on commercial agreement, doesn't it? And that's what it's going to come down to, isn't it? Because Microsoft definitely won't be letting it for free because I can't imagine OpenAI letting Copilot for free. But yeah, it's going to be an interesting, and because that's the only blip on, and the only reason I sometimes revert back to Copilot is just integration with, you can get the data there, but then when you try and copy and paste, there's formatting, there's all sorts of things, right? Like you've just got to get your head around everything else. If they add a table halfway through something else, you can only copy half of it. You can't copy with the table. Do you know what I mean? There's those little tiny bits, which, let's be honest, you just saved yourself 20 hours or whatever it is. Should you be complaining about having to format something for 15 seconds? But that's the world we live in, isn't it? Where we're trying to find the most efficient way possible. So that to me is where it's showing. I can see the promise. I can see that they're trying their best to make it so that as many people as possible understand what this agent could do and try and give some use cases for. I think they've done brilliant at that. I still think they've got, and this is the world, right, needs to figure this out, is how do we explain what an agent is properly? Like, who is going to finally nail that bit?
I think it is. They are technically employees. Obviously, you don't pay them, etc. But the way to think about them is as employees. Right? Yeah. But yeah, I think you are thinking of their employees, their subcontractors, whatever you want to name them, so you can get it straight in your head. That is what an AI agent is. They are an outsourced person, a subcontract person, an offshore person, an employee, a part-timer, a consultant, whatever you want to call them in your head. It doesn't really matter because how many different terms have we come up with in the industry for different things? Like, we've got a CIS subcontractor, we've got people, we've got all these different terminologies that actually all boil down to someone or now something is doing a task on your behalf that you delegate to. That's it. Like, you call it whatever you want so that you can sleep at night and you feel like you understand it. But ultimately, it is a task production machine that you have delegated responsibility of tasks to.
Yeah.
And remember, delegation doesn't mean you're handing responsibility over completely. Delegation is you've assigned work which you are still responsible for and should be checking before sending out in the way you delegate to your team.
Yeah, 100%. And I definitely see it as a research tool and kind of an like going on there. So like the deep research element of it and all that, I can definitely see that becoming even more prevalent and useful, right? We've been experimenting a moment with comparing kind of data sets that we have in the practice, right? So we let ChatGPT look at things and make sure that, you know, company's house registration and all that sort of data matches what we already have, right? We have great software that talks to one another and everything else, but that's not every data set, right? So if you can kind of ask it to compare and just keep on top, that's going to be useful. So I can see an agent, almost a compliance agent, being built for practices where it will just do that bit for you and just flag up and say, oh, by the way, this is updated here since last month, so you want to get this updated. Like not mission critical stuff, but just that little tick box exercise to keep on top of things for you. So definitely see things like that, you know, making it so it's looking at things like, you know, that you've got AML checks and stuff. Is everyone within the year or whatever your criteria is going to be? Like things like that, I can see it being really, really powerful for. And it can ask for the information. We provide the information, off the races we go. So I can see where agents can become really useful in the accounting industry and come from there. What I don't quite, even I don't feel 100% like on board with at the moment is the idea that we can let it go and pay for things by ourselves. I don't see how that's going to work yet. I've got to play around with it.
Keep up with the times. Come on.
No. More about how you give that access to that particular thing. So if it was a case that I had an expense card and everything else and it just went and did it, you kind of feel fine, right? Like, yeah, whatever. It's up to you. You set the limits, all that sort of stuff. But just giving it you've just said there about, you know, it doesn't want to have the ability to go and do financial elements and stuff like that. So but what's the difference between that and then giving it the authority to go and make payments on your behalf and stuff like that? Like, to me, they're the same issues, they're the same problems, they're the same things. So it's letting you go and do one bit but not let you others. Now, we've not played with it. We don't know what restrictions you put in or how you give them that data. And even we don't even know how it's going to access your hotels.com or bookings.com information, right?
We do.
Go for it.
It opens a browser.
Yeah.
And it does it. So
as long as you're logged in, basically.
It doesn't open a browser within a browser I've got on my screen now.
Yeah.
You know, when you do like a deep research and there's a status bar going across and it lists everything it's doing, it will visualize the browser there and show you what it's doing. And as part of the instructions you give it, you tell it like, once you've booked it, like send it to me for review.
If you want to
pay for it, if you want to, or once you've found this, but pay for it using Apple Pay and this card ending with these digits. So it can do all of that.
But that's assuming it's going to use Safari, for example, right? Like,
yes, or
Chrome. Is it
Chrome? Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, and does it have access to browser? Because these are bits we just got to play with to figure out, right? But at the moment, my thing is like, well, how much is it? Like, how much of that access does it have to say our password list and stuff like that? Which, for convenience, you want to have access to all of it.
Yeah.
But also, there's a safety risk there that's got to be mitigated as well, right? And it's how does that sort of things get done? Like, I'm confident enough that it's going to be able to do those small tasks no problem and let it do it and everyone's happy. But all I'm just worried about how it's going to do it. Like, what is the work case and how is that going to work? That's the bit I don't fully get my head around at the moment. So it's just going to be interesting to see that working and see that going through. What I would say though, back to your point about the whole, is this going to work or not work, or what's the kind of use case and stuff? What I would say is that I generally believe, in my opinion, that, and I've already tested it, right? So a video I did probably about 4 weeks ago, I asked OpenAI, like, can you do bookkeeping for me, right? So anyone who's not watched the video, I downloaded the full review section in QuickBooks. I downloaded that. I was using the sample company, so it's stuff I've done 100 million times before, so I knew every transaction and where it went, right? So I uploaded that to ChatGPT. I said, look, and I also uploaded my general ledger, and I was like, look, dude, where would you put these transactions? And then I asked it to create it into a format that would be ready for QuickBooks. So I was basically asking it to do it. But if you think about it, that whole general term, and like you said there, no chance of getting that right. Like, there was so many different factors. Like, when you think about what we bring to the table as professionals to bring it in compared to what our clients can sometimes get themselves muddled up with, right? And this is on a much bigger scale. So when I was going through that exercise and seeing that, I was impressed that it was able to achieve it, but my expectation was it was never going to get anywhere near an accuracy level that was going to be right. But what I would say is, and I know you're saying that, they're industry leaders and everything else, and they'll probably catch up and everything else. I don't know if they're going to have the data sources to catch up, right? Because for them to catch up, they need access to all of those data points. For them to catch up, they need to be able to have it fed to them on a more regular basis. And I just don't know how they're going to bridge that gap, how they're going to get that access, how they're going to go through and start learning that bit. Because that is where your Sage, your QuickBooks, and potentially Xero as well have got that advantage, right? They have a whole history of X amount of years to go back to. If, well, this category was then put to here, and this transaction was put to here, and that's what they've got the advantage of. And I know that the kind of concept is, when it comes to teaching, one of the advantages that your Xeros and your QuickBooks and everything else are going to have is their priority, or at least I know from an Intuit point of view, their priority on who's going to teach this is always going to come from your accountants, bookkeepers, business advisors, the people who are connected as a QBOA. And I think that's a massive, massive leg up, right? Because even if OpenAI do have access to be able to start learning and understanding and getting to grips with that bookkeeping information, start figuring out what categories to put and what VAT to put and all that sort of stuff, it's going to be skewed so much because they're not going to be able to understand, well, is that a quote unquote professional, or is that a client? Do you know what I mean? Like, that's where, for me, I don't ever see OpenAI being able to overtake this particular niche. They'll do a good job, and I think there'll be a lot of benefit of one day of having that connection and going through from there. But I think the dedicated ones, where not only do that have that rich amount of information, but they can also categorize between a standard client, and yeah, there are some amazing clients out there, but there's also some not so good clients out there that would put them to anywhere, right? Versus a professional, where again, I know there is good professionals, bad professionals, but on the whole, you expect that set of professionals to have a much more impactful thing to the language model, right? They should be putting much more impactful data into there. So I feel that's where I can't see how OpenAI will ever overtake. I think they'll get to a really good point, and I think they're going to do really well, and looking forward for them taking off that shackles and open it up for people. But that's why I just believe that next bit's going to be there. But hey, we need to wait and see on that one, don't we? Need to wait and see.
Yeah.
But when do you reckon? Do you reckon it'll never happen? Do you think this is a timed gatekeeping at the moment, and they're just not confident with it, or do you think they'll never let access to things like that?
I think they will. Like, from what they were saying, that's what they're working on, but they just weren't willing to release it this early. Okay. So yeah, it's going to be interesting to see what happens with it.
So my question to you is, at the moment, it sounds like, to me, and maybe I'm oversimplifying this, but when we first started in cloud accounting, all that sort of stuff, it was all about bank connections, and bank connections were using screen scraping technology, right? So you were providing their user credentials, they were logging in, trying to get the data, and it was a mess, right? A, security, big problem, but B, all it took for the bank was to change their layout or put a pop-up or something, and you couldn't get the data, right? So it was such a laborious exercise. Open banking came along, and apparently it was solving all these problems, and we can have a whole debate about open banking, right, and go down there. But at what point? Because in my simplified brain of how this is working, I'm seeing this as OpenAI and all of them at the moment are basically screen scraping at this point, in want of a better term, right? Do you reckon that's always going to be allowed, or do you think at some point open banking for AI, however that's going to be termed, is going to come into play?
I mean, ultimately, it requires for that open banking effect, you're looking at an API.
Yeah, exactly.
So
right.
You're not going through a screen scraping exercise, as you say. So if Chrome and Safari and Firefox launch an API for their product, the API can go, the AI tool can go via the API and still do the same things, then yeah, it's doable.
Is that enough? And all I'm saying here is like, from a, because that's what the open banking could have done, right? Open banking could have gone, right, let's forget all the individual banks. Let's just go for the browsers and let's have the credentials in the browsers and go from there.
Yeah.
Which I know open banking versus what we're talking about is completely different, right? I get that. But they could have gone down that route, right? Do you, because that'll be a huge disruption to what's like, that will slow down the pace of this overnight, won't it? This will go from the we're traveling on the motorway to actually now we're on a single carriageway behind a tractor, right? Like that's how disruptive it would be if it ever went there. But at what point is that going to turn into, well, we can't just let it have access to everything? Do you know what I mean? Like
yeah. I think there's a lot of very well paid people that are very, very clever compared to me and you, sat at OpenAI thinking this all through. Like,
that's right then.
I think that's where. I think that's where we need that one.
People like you don't want them to have an AI. Like, imagine OpenAI today. You could say, right, well, just go and update the onboarding for this client here in Engager.
Yeah.
This is where you got to go. These are my credentials. This is what you're looking for. Go. Like that overnight, that would be amazing for the accounting industry, right? Like we could literally, have that trigger from this. An email comes in from a client with their new UTR number and it just goes in and puts it, or whatever it's going to be, right? Like that's the sort of cleverness we could have with it. And if we don't have to go down, having to build all these APIs and putting all that into play, and it is literally, I'm dumbing it down for my simple brain, but screen scraping, then that would be that would be brilliant, right? Like that would work so much well. So yeah, you can book my holiday for me, great, well, whatever, fantastic. But you can onboard my client for me, yes, please. Do you know what I mean? Like it's a whole different kettle of fish.
Whole different value proposition, isn't it?
Yeah,
definitely.
We'll have to have a play, but like I said, it's Thursday that we get access to it. Well, you may get access to it in 24 hours because you probably cancel one subscription and open another one. But for all of us, but we'll reach out and we'll have a play around when we go through from there.
Definitely. Other AI news though, while we're on the topic, Motion AI, which is like a calendar, task management, project management tool. It's got a built-in meeting note taker like Firefly, Otter type thing. They have announced, and this is coming out in the next 3 weeks. The beta's already out. You can't get onto the beta. It's completely locked down, but they're rolling it out to the rest of the public over the next 3 weeks. They've announced their agents, or AI employees, as they call them on their website. So go see. I told you weeks ago this was this catch on. I didn't copyright it or anything. So they're launching 7 AI agents, and I think this could Sherlock some other softwares.
Ooh.
So Motion AI, I've been dabbling with it on and off for about a year. Like, it's great, but it requires me to get into a routine and a habit of going through Engager, looking at what deadlines I've got coming up, putting them into motion, like at the start of a week or something, so it can then schedule everything else around it. I then use Fixer AI to help read, categorize my emails and draft responses, which I'm very impressed with the accuracy on, and the informative nature of them.
Yeah.
So Motion AI in the next 3 weeks will release 7 AI employees, as they call them. There'll be one called, which is an AI executive assistant. It will schedule calendars, prioritize tasks, reply to your emails, take notes, and hundreds more skills. Basically, email comes in that requires you to take action. It's going to put it's going to draft a response for you. B, it's going to categorize that email into a folder for you. C, it then adds time into your diary based on the information in it for sensitivity of priority for you to do that work.
Nice.
AI sales representative. It's going to update your CRM, chase opportunities, find leads, and personalized outreach, plus hundreds more skills. There's hundreds more skills at the end of every one of these. AI customer support specialist. Responds to tickets, escalates issues, takes actions, and solves problems.
Which
that's plugged into your HubSpot. Imagine the power of that.
You reckon that's what it is? Cool.
An AI marketing associate. Writing blog posts, runs SEO, manage social media, write with brand voice. So you teach it your brand. AI recruiter.
Just been replaced. Lizzie's just been replaced. Pour one out for producer Lizzie.
That's it. Redundant. Gone. AI recruiter. Screen candidates, personalized outreach, grades the interviews, and schedules the interviews and then grades them for you because it's been the note taker in that interview. AI project manager, coordinate with the team, plan resource and capacity, check in on deadlines, and generate reports. AI researcher, aggregate the news on a regular basis, monitor competitors, generate reports, and carries out deep research for you.
And what's the price point for these? Is it per employee? Well,
$29 per month for all of them.
All of them for 20. Wow.
Paid annually.
But £85 if not.
I mean, no, there's no monthly option here. You have to pay annually. It's like Microsoft Copilot.
I was going to say Copilot all over again, isn't
it? I'm interested. Put it that way. If it can replace Fixer and put it all into one, then that's a winner for me. Anything it does on SEO is better than what I'm doing because I'm doing nothing.
Yeah.
I'll be interested to see what managing social media is like. I'll be interested to see how it does blog posts.
But even the ticketing one, I mean, like, I know you Engage has ticketing, right? Like, just to at least be a priority of those tickets, right? Like, if someone comes in and it's urgent, you switch it to urgent.
That requires you to have a slow response time, so it has time to prioritize it. Not really an issue at Engager, but
in the real world, in that Engager world, for the rest of us. But no, look, even if it can just do something as simple, I guess the question is though, like people like HubSpot, I've got to be in my bonnet with HubSpot anyway, so I'm happy to use them as a thing. We won't or demoralize the one that you're using for Engager, but HubSpot happy to push them through the mud at the moment. But they've got this big push for AI as well. Like they don't want to be left behind. Yeah. But would they be happy that Notion AI could basically outperform their AI bot? This is where it's going to get really interesting, isn't it?
I assume they're building into the HubSpot API. So what can they do?
This is true. Yeah.
Like, like the AI executive, it built, it can do more, like Fixer can do more than Copilot can do in Outlook.
Yeah, exactly.
Already. And all they're doing is using an API. So
yeah, it's going to be an interesting situation to be in, isn't it, for them? Yeah. Okay. We'll have to. I assume you will be having a play around, so you'll be able to report back.
I tried messaging them over the weekend to try and get into the beta, and was firmly and politely told no. That it is completely locked down. But they, like, to be fair to them, they answered a lot of my, because a lot of their website was about Gmail and stuff. So I said, look, is it going to talk to Teams, Outlook and stuff? It's like, yeah, it's already doing all of that. So, and they said, look, it's 19th of July. We're expecting it to be rolling out over the next 3 weeks to the mass public.
Okay. Oh, that's not long to wait then.
I can wait I can wait that long. I wait longer for Apple updates.
Oh, we're still waiting, aren't we? So that's how it goes. Let's quickly jump into community for the next topic. Sue Green says, good morning. Good morning, Sue. Hope you are doing well. Hope your Engager chat went well, or your Engager tea party and Adfin tea party and all them went well. Susan Jack, hopefully you are doing well. Good morning to you. Stephanie says, a worker makes the most sense for me for these AI agents. Exactly. Yeah, it's that worker hire. Like, is agent the right term? I suppose it's too late now. We've got that term, but we've just got to learn as a collective that agent means.
I like Motion's AI employee. Actually, I mean, I would, because I came up with that idea weeks ago. So months ago, actually. That's when I think
they should be more contractors, less HR.
Yeah.
Suddenly, when you start to say their employee, I'm thinking, oh, I'm going to have to give them sick pay and what's the national minimum wage?
Busy flirting at the Coldplay concert.
Exactly. Well, ironically, that was the HR representative there, wasn't it? So he laughed. Paul Whitehouse says, could an agent monitor tasks and services in Engager and email assigned staff for an update on near to deadline status? Yeah, I mean, if it's doing the screen scraping technology.
Yeah, in theory, but also remember, you've only got 40 of these a month in all but the Pro plan. So unless you're prepared to pay $200 a month per seat, you're limited to 40 a month.
Is 40 a we need to play around with this, right? But is that we set it to do a task and then it continues doing that task?
That's one of your 40
each
time it runs.
Task of 40, do you reckon?
So if it's a one-off task, it's 1. If it happens 30 days a month, it's 30.
Yeah, that's your problem, isn't it?
So because you had that issue with deep research, didn't you? You kept running out of credits.
Yeah.
Now, over time, those limits are going to go up.
Yeah,
because it gets cheaper and cheaper to run.
Or they'll give you an option to buy 30 at a time, or there's going to be some sort of monetization around that, isn't there? Which, fair play. It'll be interesting because I wonder if ever they'll just let this agent run from the desktop mode, and literally you could have a secondary computer just sat there just doing what it needs to do, right? Because I understand at the moment it's doing within its and like you said, it kind of gives you a bit of an insight. But to troubleshoot and figure out why it couldn't do X, Y, Z, just following it through, watching it happen could be quite useful, right? So
what you're asking is, are we going to have a separate virtual desktop computer sat in the corner with a big sticker saying "Do not turn off"?
Yeah, basically this is my back of mind. What I want is every time we're on one of these, I want one of my agents to be doing something in the background. Steph says, do you not think the two-factor is where the issues lie? Dex invoice fetch used to be awful because of the two-factor authentication, and that's why I'm thinking if we could have some sort of desktop mode where you've already authenticated it, you're already in.
Yeah,
is that the way around it? I don't know. It's going to be tricky, right? Like, and this is where open banking came to save the day really for us, isn't it? Because two-factor authentication was a big problem of the screen scraping. Like, anyone who had a HSBC client was constantly frustrated having to get that little puck out and having to find the code and put the code in, all that sort of stuff. So yeah, you're right there, Steph. Let's hope we get that sorted. Can Fixer AI tell if action needs taken from an email rather than a response?
Yeah, so Fixer will flag an email as to whether it's an FYI, so you don't need to respond or take action. It's just for your information. It will categorize notifications, marketing, etc. It will come up with a response if it thinks that it will categorize it as response required or action needed. And if it's a response required, it will draft the response for you.
Yeah.
And if it's an action required, it actually still 9 out of 10 times drafts a response. But it's we've got the email. This is what I'm going to do. Blank space for you putting in a deadline of when you're going to do it, just as a holding email, which I quite like. Like the amount of times I've told my team, if you're going to deal with something for a client, acknowledge we've got the email, so otherwise they start chasing us.
Yeah,
even though it's planned, it's organised. Yeah. All it took was 30 seconds to send an email to them saying, "Got your email. Setting your expectations. This is when it's going to be done."
Yeah. No, that definitely works. I mean, in my world, we have to copy and paste that email into ChatGPT, and then it does a reply, and then we have to copy and paste it back. So you're already miles ahead of the game on us peasants over here having to wear out our copy button on our mouse. King Savvy Saver says, "Hey all, I have just joined, so sorry if this has been asked before. I'm currently studying AAT, but started to question doing it. If everything will now be done by AI, any thoughts? Thanks." Well, first of all, don't listen to Jeremy Hunt.
Whoever did.
Well, yeah, true. But no, look, this topic will come time and time again. At the end of everything we've been talking about now, we've been talking about how we're going to have to train these large language models. We're going to have to keep on updating them. So there'll always be work for us. There'll always be job for us. Just think about this as, I feel so much happier for people like yourself coming into the industry, because you won't have to sit there and reconcile a T account on multiple occasions. Like, you'll figure it out in like theory, you'll understand the theory behind it. You'll have to do that for your exams, which is great. We don't want to take that away, but you're not going to actually literally sit there having to do it as a full-time job, which when I first started my career, my whole job was, right, I've got to find a £15.24p difference on my bank. Let's start ticking it up. And obviously that's a waste of everybody's time and resources. So look, AI is going to be here to make things better and easier for everyone. And there's still going to be need for people like us. We've just got to be able to use the technology for the best, haven't we? Any thoughts on that? Anything else?
Yeah, look, it's been like I've been saying for years now. Like, we were told when OCR technology came along, that was the end of the bookkeeper. We don't need them anymore. And all it actually means is it's a new tool for the bookkeepers and accountants to get the work done more efficiently that the clients don't really value.
Yeah.
So we have more time to spend with our clients delivering services that they do value. You know, no one panics that SIF AI creates reports for them. But that used to be someone's job. Someone was paid 40 hours a week to generate graphs and the spreadsheets and put them into a PDF document ready for a management account meeting. We've now got tools to do that. No one goes, oh my God, Fathom, SIF, whoever, Futurely, like they've taken my job. They've just now meant we can actually do that job 10 times more often. We can do more management meetings, make more revenue out of it. So that's the way we've got to look at AI. It's a tool.
Yeah. And then that same logic is exactly the same with bank feed, right? No one was sat there going, why are we adding this? We were happily manually adding these bank statements, transaction after transaction. Why are we using technology to help us do that? Like, it's the same, isn't it? It's just progressing over time.
Like, I've been building a lot of IKEA furniture in the last week. It would have taken me 5 times longer if I used a screwdriver. I used an electric screwdriver. It was a lot quicker,
right? I just didn't bother. Just gravity's doing the job.
Bit of glue would be all right. But yeah, like, you use the tools around you to make the job more efficient. And this is how we need to view AI. It's just another tool that's going to make your workload more efficient. And it just re-engineers how we spend our time. We no longer spend our time going through piles of receipts and manually enter them into the system like I used to in my old job. I had to write out a petty cash slip and staple that to the receipt and then type it all into the system. Like, absolute waste of time and money.
Yeah.
But now we've got OCR technology that does it. We've got AI that helps. We've got all these great tools, so we can now spend our time doing the real value-added stuff.
Yeah, exactly. You want to talk about WeTransfer changing their policy?
Yes. Anyone using WeTransfer needs to be aware, guys, that their privacy policy changes on the 8th of August, meaning anything you send using WeTransfer can and potentially will be used to train their AI tools and future tools. So it's not quite as secure as we always thought it might be. So this is why you use client portals and not WeTransfer generic tools. So yeah, just something to be aware of.
And I don't think it's just WeTransfer, because I've noticed more and more and more. You Google Gemini, Microsoft Copilot, and everything else are now properly analyzing all the data, because it's to help you, right? The idea is to assist you. It's to find that one file that we're missing, or that one file that got deleted, but yeah, we'll we'll move on from that one. But you know, I get the use case for AI kind of coming into here and everything else, but I think you're right in terms of it's like what from WeTransfer's point of view, I don't get that one. Like when you've got Google Drive, OneDrive, and everything else, or client portals in that part where you're in control of what's there. The whole point is it's a file structure, but it's in the cloud, isn't it? And it's accessible by multiple people, and there's collaboration options and everything else. When you start adding AI to there, it's kind of like, well, okay, it's trying to give you some extra benefits to find stuff, or to maybe that OCR technology you're talking about. It means that you can drop the data in there and it'll automatically extract. That's where the AI can be quite useful in those sort of scenarios, right? I get it, right? Am I 100% comfortable that every document I put in there is now, fully accessible by whatever AI tool it is? Hopefully we're going to be all right with it. But, there'll be some terms and conditions somewhere that means that I was in the wrong anyway, right? But for WeTransfer to do it, I don't get it. Like their whole point is that you're not storing that document in somewhere that people can ultimately see it. The whole point of WeTransfer is you've got this large file or whatever file it's going to be, and you just want to safely and securely send it to XYZ. So why do they need AI involved? Like, is it just to stay relevant, to be back in the conversation, to bring, what is that? Like, what? That's the bit I don't understand. Like, it almost feels at the moment that every SaaS company out there is going, right, well, we need to mention this word called AI because everyone else is. A bit like we had in the accounting industry, 3 years ago now, when we had that whole push that, well, if we don't mention AI, we're going to be irrelevant. But surely to stay relevant, you have to have some relevance around your AI. And it can't
just be a gimmick and marketing.
Yeah. And I can't see the benefit of WeTransfer doing this. Like, what does the end user gain from it? Am I missing the point here?
I don't know. I don't know WeTransfer well enough. I've used it maybe half a dozen times in 5 years. I don't know what group they're part of. I don't know what it could be training AI in another one of their tools. I don't know. It's just a lot of people go, oh, we'll use WeTransfer to email it, A, because it's large, but B, because it's secure. Perhaps not so secure anymore. So yeah, interesting.
Yeah, and like we've got here, so we'll just quickly go through the things. King Savvy Saver says Coldplay concert. I don't know. I've seen a meme go that viral for a long time. It was brilliant. Very good. Some very clever companies jumping on that as well. My personal favorite was two mascots at a recent American game, and they were reenacting it on Kiss Cam, where came up to them, they were like, oh no. So yeah, brilliant, absolutely brilliant. Thank you for answering the question. We'll follow and join in on future. Amazing, thank you for that. Good point about the electric screwdriver. Yeah, well, I'm just glad he mentioned electric screwdriver and he hasn't just not bothered to screw anything in, which is why I assume
just waiting for it all to collapse.
Yeah. Our Advent Tea Party was so lovely, and our Engager Hub was awesome too. Any opportunity to network and get like-minded people together. Exactly. Well done on that, Sue. Keep up the good work. CapCut changed their policy too. Yeah, so for anyone who doesn't know, CapCut is part and parcel of the TikTok family. And it doesn't surprise me on this, right? Like the whole point of TikTok is not to show you cool videos, it's to gather data. That's the only reason TikTok's even there, right? And CapCut is part of that family of suites, so that's how you cut up the TikToks or whatever. It's basically an editing tool you can use for all sorts of things. But they've just changed the policy where CapCut now own that data, and they have that access to it in perpetuity. And yeah, it's yeah, I don't know. I feel like it's going down in tears at some point, that one, isn't it? So, but what can we do? What can we do about that one?
Yep, definitely.
And then Steph finishes off, I prefer the Toto and Max one. So yeah, we had some very interesting Toto and Max.
Who says marketing departments don't work weekends?
I know, right? I know.
They're all going to want 2 weeks off now because they've done overtime on a weekend.
They got their viral post, job done.
Yeah.
Job. Done. Amazing. I don't think this is worth going into the final topic or the other topics we have in here. We might as well save them for a future episode. But no, it's been interesting. A very AI topic, this one. I think that's good to see. It's always good when OpenAI come through. We're just eagerly waiting their hardware announcements, aren't we now? But maybe we've got to set our expectations that that's a multi-year process. What do you think?
I mean, the more and more I'm hearing about it, we're not going to get a phone or a tablet out of them. It's going to be a wearable bit of tech, which we've seen 2 wearable bits of tech that have failed miserably. Human AI and Rabbit, was it?
It was something like that, wasn't it? Yeah.
And absolutely failed miserably. I mean, there was a a lot of coverage on the OpenAI agent thing saying, look, Rabbit and Human AI promised this ability to make bookings and stuff on your behalf and failed miserably. ChatGPT have come along and done it right. So, yeah, it looks more and more like a wearable AI thing that can see and hear around you and stuff. So we'll see.
I still think glasses are the best wearable device, right? Like, and as much as I love my Meta glasses and I think they're great and all that sort of stuff, there's still more that can be done there, right? So
huge amounts.
We'll see. Do I want another pin on me? I don't know. But then, hey, Apple got a watch on me, no problem. So, so we'll see. And then Steph says, the Microsoft band failed before AI too. Yeah. So wearable tech, the one you got with Claude AI, isn't it? Is it Claude?
Yeah, Claude AI.
That is a nice piece of kit there, and that's definitely something that got, in our industry got attention, right? Just because it's like, well, what's the AI wearing that for? So there's definitely
my biggest headache with that is I've got this huge database, like 600 odd meetings and chats and stuff recorded and transcribed and summarized, but getting it into anything is a bloody nightmare. That is too manual at the moment. I spent the weekend trying to build a Zapier into to take the data from there and put it into like ChatGPT, and it was going to let me do it, but it was going to cost me a fortune every week in API credits from ChatGPT.
So maybe screen scraping it in through an AI agent going forward is your future, right? Like that's what we've got to try and think of. It's like, do we want to zap it in, or can we just have it as a?
Can it go in, download it, and then upload it through the desktop? I don't know.
It's how can we effectively spend these 40 credits or whatever number we're going to have, right? That's going to be our challenge going forward, isn't it? Of what we use it for and how we use them and everything else. So, brilliant. All right, then, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us on this wonderfully bleak weather day, but I'm sure it's going to get nicer over there. I mean, we're summer, right? So, bikini weather, back to bikini weather very soon, I'd imagine. So, you've done it.
I'm sure you'll be thrilled to be back out in the garden in your bikini.
Exactly. But no, don't forget to come and join us each and every Monday morning at 8:30 a.m. where we come and tackle all of those subjects to do with the world of accounting, or when there's no accounting news, AI we fall back on. So
it impacts on us on our day-to-day work, so it's going to massively impact our workflow. So it's a good topic to cover.
And look, it's a quiet time. People are not releasing things at the moment because, well, they're on holiday. They're trying to get away from this torrential downpour, so I don't blame them. What have you got planned for this week then, Johann? Anything exciting?
No. Based at home for the week, cracking on, lots of little projects going on with Engager and stuff. So just getting all of that up to speed and sorted, really.
Nice. I'm off to London yet again, so
nice.
Horror. When am I not off to London? So we'll go and do the London joint one last time, hopefully for a while. So we'll see how that goes. Right. Well, thank you, everybody. Thanks for joining in. Thanks for all your wonderful comments as always. And don't forget to keep an eye on socials and stuff, because I believe we're releasing our slots for come and do the Pit Stop podcast over at Countex North. So if you're coming to a Countex North, now's your chance to get yourself involved, get yourself over to that and everything else that's with there. It's an amazing event. Highly recommend it. I believe they've announced Digital Disruptors the day before. I hope I've not just embarked.
They have announced that.
Yeah.
Disappointed to see the Dishwater Award's been removed, but never mind.
I know. That's frustrating, isn't it? But hey, that's what it is. So yeah, it looks like it'll be a good couple of days over there. So, and we hopefully at a Cast Accountant going to be able to get some We Have Cool Friends episodes in a new location. So keep yourself peeled for that. Right, I've rambled on long enough. Have a good week, everybody, and we will see you this time next week. Same place, same channel. See you then. Have a good one. Bye.